I'm live. I'm 5 minutes late and I'm on a different thingy URL that I put out. I'm having more issues with YouTube, and I set all of these daily tune-ins up to be able to stream live and have it all easy. And the first day it wasn't easy. So if you were waiting on the other URL, I'm sorry. I'm figuring this out as I go. So I'm certainly very attuned to this YouTube live thing, but we're figuring it out. Today is Friday. For many of you, I know Friday is just a day of just deep breaths. It's the end of the week. There's a little bit of a break on the weekend. If you're like me, I haven't had a Monday through Friday kind of schedule for a couple of years now. So it all, like, everything just blends together. But I still have the same feelings about Friday for some reason. I'm like, yay, it's Friday. My higher self is like, why are you so excited about that? I'm like, I don't know, because Friday is the same as Sunday is the same as Monday for me. So, which I'm really grateful about. Today, I have my notes down here because I take notes, I check in, I kind of see what is the most potent message that I can bring to you every day on these daily tune-ins. And today, hi Trish, thank you, from Jersey. I used to live in Hoboken and used to do the beach down in Ocean City. So hey Jersey, how are you? I'm glad you're here. Thank you for being here. I'm glad you found me. So today I wanted to continue what we've been talking about for much of the week about this massive paradigm shift that's happening. And I want to be clear that when I talk about this massive paradigm shift, this is something that's going to take time. And I know, like, none of us want to hear time, but time is such a construct of our 3D world. And the amount of time I can't say, simply because each of us, with our own free will and how quickly we move through a lot of what the paradigm phases that I'm going to be talking about today, determines how long it takes for us to switch a paradigm. Same with our collective paradigms. There's a lot of dismantling of our systems that is now becoming more and more obvious. We're seeing more. And although many in our collective don't really understand yet that there's a lot of dismantling that's happening and that's going to happen, a lot of the systems as we've known it are settling down in order to be rebuilt in a more ethical and integrous way. So we're starting to see a lot of this paradigm shift happening. But until we all come up as a collective to be able to embrace and to move forward in a unified manner to rebuild the paradigm, it feels very chaotic. So if you bring that back into our individual experiences and in our individual lives, it's the same thing. We have to really be truly willing to see what we haven't wanted to see, the densities that we may have been ignoring. We have to tap into a brand new way of being, a brand new operating system. We have to be more courageous, or find more courage and boldness to start shifting the paradigm from living in the 3D construct into the higher constructs of the fourth dimensional, and then eventually the fifth dimensional construct, which is where we create completely from our own souls, very individualized, again, for the highest and best good of all involved, including our planet and humanity, where we make choices that are healthy and abundant for all. And it shaves away that old paradigm of finding power and making choices for ourselves in the 3D world for our own advantage, even though it might be at the expense of others. That's the paradigm that's shifting, and that's the paradigm we're moving into. So if we can look at, I want to look at the 3 phases of this paradigm shift, because every single day you're going to be moving through, we're all moving through this paradigm shift in our daily lives, the kind of the extended annually we're moving through these paradigm shifts, and then globally we're in the same shift. So as you start to not awaken, but as we start to illuminate these three phases, we can identify in each area of our life where we are in this paradigm shift, because every area of our life is having to take a change in paradigm, how we used to do things in the physical world, and switch it into the opposite pole, the pole shift that I've talked about for many daily tune-ins now, where we operate from the soul level, from the 5D frequency of us. That's a whole different paradigm. So we're having to shift every aspect of our lives to then come together and integrate into a brand new paradigm. Same with our outer and global world as well. But that will come when each individual starts to focus in on shifting their own paradigm. And we are in some energies right now that are supporting that are helping us with the high fluxes of energies coming in, with the 12/12 portal being on Wednesday, which is in 2 days. This is when it's really good to hone in, to look at the phases. What phase am I in my relationships? What phase am I in my finances? What phase am I in my spiritual connection? What phase am I in my career and the work that I do? What I in my creative expression? So all the different areas of life is where we want to be just kind of, compartmentalizing for a moment to take a look at which phase we're in, and then bringing it all together and make sure you're working on all aspects. So the first phase is the 3D reality. This is the karmic phase. This is the descension phase. So descension is where we've been living. The good news is we've been living in the descended state, so we kind of are really familiar with it. We know it's painful a little bit. We know it's something that we can deal with, because many of us lived for so long in the karmic life. The karmic life means we were playing out our past karmas, our current karmas, what we gave out, we received back. And some of that was hard. When we gave our whole hearts to everybody else, we received back emptiness and exhaustion. When we, or for those who were giving out manipulation and deception, it was coming back in a way it wasn't fulfilling. Although there could have been some, power, artificial power. There could have been wealth that was created, and yet on the inside there was bankruptcy. And quite frankly, that's a painful life as well. So this karmic life that we got used to living in the 3D is the Dissension Phase. It's very dense. It's filled with densities of, emotional bankruptcy. And a lot of times the physical bankruptcy of many people, not having health and wellness in all areas of life, has made many feel bankrupt. And we work really hard to create wealth in all areas of life, in our health and our well-being and our finances and our jobs. And it just seems like it was just one big, race around the circle to try to create it. And yet it never came. And so it left majority of humanity depleted, exhausted, addicted, emotionally empty, emotionally bankrupt, definitely spiritually bankrupt, because we weren't taught to connect into our power, our higher self. That was an untaught power that we had. It was deceptively not taught to us, so that we stayed in the descension phase, really, of our lives. With this ascension process now, many are starting to wake up into the Transcension Phase. This is the phase of the fourth dimensional piece of us, the phase of this ascension process. The Transcension is all about us coming into awareness that we are also an energetic body, an emotional body. Many of us who have been empaths our entire life have been tuned into it, but have been forced to kind of diminish it or pulled it in and not use it because no one taught us, and many of us were shamed for it, or you're too sensitive, or stop that feeling thing, stop crying, don't emote, right? Come back, descend down into the physical world, and that you just figure out life that way, and you just keep doing what everybody's told you to do. So those of us who have been open to this transcension part of us, the fourth dimensional part, but have kind of shut it down a little bit, are now coming back into it. And those who may not have had any connection with it are having to now feel more and start to become more aware of, like, something doesn't feel right. What I've been taught, how I've been living, it's no longer resonating with me. So there's this new awakening. And this is the bridge between the two worlds, between the two phases, between the descension phase and the ascension phase. The 4D self is the heart self. That is the portal between the spiritual and the physical world. So it's a really important aspect. It's the bridge between the two worlds and the two phases that are extremely important. And then we have the 5D, the 5D phase. And this is the phase where we are in the creation phase. The creation stage is the ascension. We are ascending into those higher realms of existence, those higher frequencies of love and joy and creativity. And we start to we come into our soul self, and we live a life that is completely reflective of who we are, why we are here. We are here living in that 5D frequency, the unique expression of source that sent us here. This is the life that I'm supposed to live. This is the life you're supposed to live. And when we're all living exactly true to ourselves and to our soul self, we have a unified field. Doesn't mean that descension doesn't happen, but when it does, we don't dip and descend so far into that physical world where we get stuck. The 4D part of the phases, the transcension phase, once we anchor into that and you ascend into that, where you're like, I'm no longer operating in that descension phase. I am here. There is no going back. So for many of us who are living more true to ourselves, we may not still be at the complete full expression of the 5D version of ourselves, but we're getting there, and we're in that 4D. We can't go back. If we try to go back to an old pattern or an old relationship, where we go into the world and all of a sudden we're like, oh my God, it's so painful. I can't go back. You can't descend down. But still, if there are still some tethers that you have, maybe a relationship that hasn't quite been healed or taken care of, maybe there's a job that's being held onto out of fear of letting it go, because I can't let it go because the physical world, the physical world paradigm is still hanging on tight. If you are there, you still have to descend in order to ascend. So you have to descend into that world to cut the tethers, to heal the relationship, to let go of the relationship, to put boundaries up, to find another job, to start your own business, whatever it is, to start cutting those tethers until you are fully cut free and liberated from all of the tethers that cause you to descend into those lower frequencies of being, where you're feeling stress, you're feeling fear, you're feeling anger, you're feeling resentment, whatever is causing that. You've got to descend into that paradigm to shift that stuff in order then to anchor fully in to that fourth dimensional transcension. All you can do now is ascend, and that ascension then allows you to flow into a much higher level of existence, and the journey gets easier, because when you're anchored into that transcension phase, that's the 0 point. That's where you start building from. That's where we want to try to get to. And I don't want to say get to, it sounds like it's it kind of is, but it's more like we want to be able to anchor in as much as we can by the solstice into that fourth dimensional transcension phase, so that we are starting the building blocks of 2022 and on at a very anchored space, where we don't have to descend into the limitations and the restrictions that we have been so ingrained in. When we let go of all of our subconscious beliefs and the paradigms that we have been tapped into, we cut those loose, we anchor in. Now the ascension process gets easier because we don't have all of those densities. This is a really important thing to sit down. This is kind of the call to action. Over the weekend, sit down with a journal and put, relationships, your closest relationships, and where are you energetically? Where are you emotionally with them? If there's any that kind of you're still like, oh man, that relationship, that's hard. That's a tough one. That's where you have to descend into it and look at it. What do I need to do? What do I need to be in order to cut the tether or put up a boundary or take care of this density? Because until you do, going into the 5D paradigm of creation, where creation just becomes easy because you are so fully aligned with the path, everything becomes easier and easier and easier. You have a stomach block, you have a challenge, you know exactly, you don't have to descend to these real low levels. You just feel that, oh, that's not quite right. You take care of it and you keep moving on. That's where we're going with this. So take your time this weekend, spend some time so that you are fully aware and can start to then manifest everything needed to descend into the lower realms of existence to really start to heal those paradigms. That's how these paradigm shifts happen within you. And as they happen within you, then the collective starts to expand and multiply in their illumination. We get into that 4D bridge as a collective. Then we can start making massive changes in our global world. Good stuff. I did a post this morning, morning musing post about going even further into this paradigm shift in the Ascension Bank for the members in there. We've got some important stuff coming up next week. I'm going to be doing another wealth code conversation in the Ascension Bank. If you're not a member, I would love to have you. It's a repository of all of the things we talk about here on these daily tune-ins, but we go deeper. We do hypno meditations to really anchor in a lot of this. And also to descend into the subconscious mind through hypnotherapy techniques and meditations in order to cleanse and clear a lot of those densities. So as a collective, we're coming together and we're doing the work. We're doing the work. And there's going to be a lot more stuff coming because I'm getting more and more nudges to bring more stuff into the Ascension Bank for our members. We're really doing the work to raise the consciousness of who we are so that we can step into those realms of wealth in all aspects of life. And I hope you join me there because I'm loving it. I'm loving the space. It's just started. We're growing, and I will tell you, it's going to be something quite powerful. I can already, and I feel energy first. So I feel it pretty good. So let's take a look at, yes, Trish, I'm never going back either, man. I swear, I'll just do a couple things in the world. I had to get on a Wells Fargo today and descend into that world. Lord have mercy, I said some choice words. So yeah, still trying to figure out how to switch like my finance stuff. So I'm not having to deal with that big world. So it's also anytime you feel yourself being like, oh, I gotta take care of that, or that's the clue. So we're just trying to get settled somewhere long enough that we can figure out how to have our finances here in Europe and not have to deal with all of that gunk. I haven't chatted about 0 point. I want to keep this. I'm already at 20 minutes. It's longer than I want to go. But no, I will take that though, and maybe take that into a daily tune in next week. So I will write that down on my journal and kind of marinate on what might be a good thing to come in with the 0 point. So thanks for that suggestion. And I will definitely marinate on that. Thank you all for being here. For those that are here live, I want to thank you. I appreciate you. Come on by the Ascension Bank. Join us. We're going to be doing some great work together to actually take what we talk about here and actually do the work together. I so appreciate you all. Have an amazing 12/12 portal on Sunday. That's going to be an exciting day. So take care of yourself. Be in the highest of frequencies that day. Follow your heart, follow the thread of joy. whatever you can to stay in that highest frequency, because that portal is wide open and you have a full connection to the, to source. And I mean, you always do, but especially during these important energetic days, you are supported. So be careful and be mindful, not careful, be mindful of where you are energetically, because that's the electromagnetic field that you are pulling in. Really important. Okay, thanks everybody. Love to you. We'll see you on Monday, the next Daily Tune in. Bye.